gigabytes of furry porn to my brother's computer as a joke, and then the computer says, "Do you want to replace existing file?" So I panic.
That's a good way to start off.
Oh, did you go live?
Yeah, we are live.
Oops. Oh no.
Yeah, unlucky, but that's a good start. Really good start.
I guess I was talking over you a bit there. Sorry.
Yeah, you talked over me saying we're gonna go live. God damn it. Of course.
To be fair, you're always super delayed with going live.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. It's a criticism that could stand. God damn it. Of course I'm getting my...
You're getting your... something?
Let's see. Last two numbers... Oh. So, in the Discord right before we joined, you know how that guy said, like, hey, that's, I got your information? It's wrong.
Yeah.
Email is incorrect. My phone number is linked on my Facebook profile, which is linked to my Discord.
Have you, I think I asked you this before, but have you played Elden Ring yet?
Yes, I have. A little bit.
How'd you like it?
It was okay from the couple minutes I played of it.
Yeah, have you bought... Which boss are you fighting right now?
I'm not even at a boss yet.
You're not even at a boss. Well, every enemy's a boss in Elden Ring.
I beg to differ that.
Who are you fighting?
I was fighting off like a pack of wolves.
A pack of wolves?
Yeah.
I don't remember a pack of wolves in that game.
There's like a little cave at the starting area. I ran down into the cave and there was like a little pack of wolves.
Oh, you went the opposite direction I did. Wait, so you do, like, you start the game by fighting a boss, you do realize. Like...
Yeah, and I died to the boss. And then I respawned.
Dude, it's so I did surprisingly, like, I didn't do, like, any damage, because that thing's basically, like, the big crab thing.
Yeah.
But, I dodged a bunch of that thing's attacks. I was, like, proud of myself.
I dodged, like, 2 attacks, and then it just one-shot me, and I was really sad.
Yeah, but right now I'm fighting a giant mounted knight on a horse.
Oh, you're supposed to skip that fight.
Well, I'm gonna kill him before I move on.
Yeah, I tried to take that approach, but the giant mounted knight, I've heard from people, is that they come back to that fight later.
Yeah, well, you also told me to come back to the Mantis Lords.
Dude,
yeah.
If it's your first time playing the game, then you usually go back to it.
No, I don't go back to anything. Listen, let me tell you something. I got, like, so far, I've taken away half that guy's health.
Yeah.
All right.
I got like half.
That's great. Did you fight him?
Yeah.
I thought you said you skipped. You haven't fight a boss yet.
Well, I fought him, but I skipped him after like 3 attempts. I was like, you know what? I'll come back to this.
Did you fight the guy with the roses?
No.
Oh, because I didn't know if that fight was, like, inevitable, or if I just, like, attacked an NPC on accident and then I had to start that fight.
We're like 10 minutes into Elden Ring and we're already judging it.
Oh, it's like a really good. Well, it's a Souls game. I'll say that
it is a Souls game.
But you know what's hilarious about Souls is that we were talking about Hollow Knight or something like Doom, and in like Hollow Knight, you're not supposed to like cheese bosses. Like, you get punished for trying to do something like that. But in like the Souls games, that's how you beat bosses. You have to find a way to exploit them.
No.
Like, that's the way to play.
No, I'm going to disagree with that one.
What do you mean? Like, that's like the most common way to play. You're like...
Most people I know who play like Souls games is they have to learn the movesets of the bosses.
Yeah. And you learn the movesets and you play it a bunch of times and then you realize that there's a rock that it can't get over for some reason, so you just stand behind it and hit it. That's how you play Souls. You die a bajillion times, then realize that if you stand under this thing's left arm, it can't hit you, and then you just trial and error, man. That's how you play Souls. That's actually how I was beating the Sentinel Knight. Like a lot of its attacks, if you stand close enough to him, which is a bizarre thing to say in a Souls game, but you just like go right up to him and he just can't hit you. And then his horse tries to stomp you, but then you have to dodge away from that. But yeah, we're doing the Batman today, which is always fun. So how do we start this? Do we do like an overview of the movie, or like obviously there's gonna be spoilers? Did you put spoilers in the title?
No, I didn't actually.
I'm gonna do that.
God damn it.
Spoilers, right? Yeah. Should we go over the movie? Should we give a little overview, or should we just hop right into it? What do you think?
I think, we could start with an overview of it.
Yeah. So we went and saw the Batman, both of us. He didn't so much go and see it, but but yeah, we both saw the Batman.
Yeah.
So the movie starts off, and we're getting a little bit of the Riddler, who we all know is the Riddler, but he's sort of being portrayed as a Zodiac sort of thing, a very mysterious thriller killer. And then we also get a little bit of the Batman, and it starts off by giving us a very, how would you say, like, in the shadows Batman. It hammers down to us that all the like common criminals are really afraid of him.
He says that he is the shadows, and that fear.
He is vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is vengeance, which he says that a couple times, but everyone just calls him vengeance for some reason. I don't really get, but
I'm fine with that. I think it's a nice little take on Batman.
Yeah, I don't mind it. They're all kind of making fun of him because he's ridiculous. But
Edgelord.
I know. And it's actually like there's like even I didn't love the movie. There's a lot of great cinematography in it.
Mm-hmm.
It does fall a little flat because the tone or the style never really changes. Like there's a couple scenes that stand out, but it's all sort of dark and gritty. But right at the beginning, when you're hit with that dark and gritty, and the bat signal lights up the sky, and all the criminals look up at it and are like, they piss their pants, and they all look to the shadows like he could be anywhere.
Yeah,
it's an
really
amazing scene.
I like that a lot, and it's a cool take on Batman and what he is. It's almost like it's like showing that the bat signal is not only just like a call for help or hope, but that it is also a sign of terror.
It's a warning, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great scene. That's kind of how this movie goes. It's like there's a lot of great things in the movie, and it just kind of keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going.
As a general overview, for me at least, I personally didn't enjoy the movie, so I don't think I could give a very objective review of it.
Well, you don't have to enjoy a movie to review it.
Yeah, you don't, which is why I'm here. And
I was bored out of my mind.
I was bored out of my mind, indeed. It's a very slow movie, and the pacing is really is poor. But I think it was still a good movie. Like, if you rate this as a superhero movie, and I think it's pretty high up there, and probably, I'm going to say, the best Batman movie we got.
Ever?
Yes.
No, The Dark Knight is one of the greatest movies of all time.
No, it is not. I think it's a Zack Snyder movie that is very highly rated by only Zack Snyder fans.
I have literally never seen another Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah, you have.
Other than the
Justice
Batman
League
trilogy.
And Superman.
What?
The Superman movie, Dawn of Justice, and Snyder Cut, or Justice League.
I guess I did watch the Snyder Cut. I hated that, though. I didn't watch the Man of Steel.
Yeah. Okay, then. So, yeah, you have seen Zack Snyder. And also...
I'm not a Snyder fan. Did he do Watchmen?
Movie? I think he did.
Did he do Watchmen?
There was another movie he did. I'm looking it up now, but I can't remember what it's called.
Wait, I thought it was a Christopher Nolan movie.
What? Oh, The Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Actually, isn't it? Oh, yeah, it is. Never mind.
Yeah, so it's not a Zack Snyder movie, so get out of here.
Well, Zack Snyder still did the 300, which is really bad.
I have never seen 300, which I really want to see.
You can't take it seriously.
Oh,
But I
but
mean,
yeah. The Dark Knight is on my top 10 list of greatest movies. And
jeez.
no, it's amazing. Like if you just like there's a lot of great scenes that just stand out. The
Agreed.
music, like, is Hans Zimmer. The music is amazing.
Agreed.
Heath Ledger, the
Agreed.
greatest Joker of all time. Like maybe,
Agreed.
yeah, like and he's stunning in that movie. Rest in peace.
It's really good, but I also think that there was a lot of problems in
Two-Face.
that film.
You know what the Two-Face thing was before that movie? The traditional Two-Face thing was his face was burnt off by oil, which is super silly, right? Like it is like a really pulpy sort of comic thing to happen to a villain.
Hmm.
Like he felt like oil and acid burnt, like, melted his face. But they were like, yeah, what if it's like they tied his backstory with the Joker and they gave him this like menacing look. Two-Face is
Yeah,
just amazing in that
but
movie.
Harvey Dent's character really suffered in that movie. Like,
What do you mean?
really, he was introduced or thrown into the story so quick and just taken out of it so quickly as Two-Face that, like, the whole third act of that movie was really rushed and really poorly put together.
No, I disagree. I think it was amazing. I think they should have had Harvey Dent in Batman Begins.
He should have been a character in it because it was really
Yeah,
weird how he just became part of the story.
yeah, but that happened like every movie. Like there are characters that you weren't introduced before.
On
He's
on top of that,
he's a he's the DA, isn't he? And he's the
Mhm.
or maybe he's not the DA. He's just a
He was
he's
like
a
some prosecutor that they hired.
yeah, he was a high ranking prosecutor, and he's prosecuting the so he's prosecuting the mob. And Batman took out the head of the mob in the previous movie, and as well as
Mhm.
Ra's al Ghul. Now the mob, they're all sorts of mobsters, and it's sort of like a feast for crows sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, and it hasn't fallen apart quite so as it does after the Joker. Like
Mhm.
the mob is sort of falling, but they haven't lost their grip quite yet.
Yeah.
But the Joker is a force for chaos, not just for Batman, but also for the mob. Like he destroys the mob.
Oh, actually, I don't know if Dark Knight Joker is better than Joaquin Phoenix Joker though.
It's a different sort of thing.
I know it's very different, but
And
I still think Joker is way better than Dark Knight.
no, like I didn't. I mean, I like the Joker. I like Joker, but I didn't love it. I think it was overrated.
I think it's really good.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor, and he does great with what he's given. But the thing about Joker is what he's given is kind of not Joker.
Mm-hmm.
So
Again, it's a
like
different take on Joker.
it's a very far off take. Like that's about as far as you can get from Joker before it stops becoming Joker.
Yeah.
So I think it's great, but the best interpretation of Joker still has to be fairly Jokerish, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because if there's a character that you don't like and you say the best interpretation of that character is like the furthest thing from that character, then you're like, that's not really the best interpretation of the character. That's like a great on screen portrayal.
I'm also judging it as a movie and not just off of his character.
Oh, Joker's a great movie, yeah. Although I did kind of call the twist in Joker.
It was really cool seeing that perspective of Joker and like from his lifestyle perspective, say leading up to events, as opposed to just seeing the same old bad guy Joker who's just a crazed villain.
I think Joker's backstory doesn't matter. Is my thing. So I like that. I would like that idea if I wish they left it a little bit more ambiguous. Like there was this thing at the end where he's in the insane asylum, and it's like there's a little bit of was that actually even true? What he's telling to the psychologist.
Yeah.
But I wish there was more of that. I wish the film leaned a little bit harder into that. Is what he's saying even true?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Joker's like he lies about his past a lot.
Yeah.
He like to manipulate Harley. He does that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. I love that. I like that movie a lot.
That's a movie that we should watch together sometime again.
Oh, Joker?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would love to watch that, and I would love to watch some of the other greatest movies of all time, Like we've seen what did we watch together? We watched
Lord of the
Lord
Rings.
of the Rings.
We
Yeah.
still need to watch Whiplash together at some point.
Return of the King, one of the best movies of all. It's another one of my top 10. That's a great movie.
I still think Fellowship is the best.
You think Fellowship is the best?
Yes.
Okay, you think Fellowship is the best.
Followed by Two Towers and then Return of the King.
Oh no, TTT is the worst.
The Twin Towers.
Yeah, Two Towers. Two Towers.
No.
Although sometimes I call that movie Twin Towers. Like I don't even realize I'm doing it because it's like so similar. But like I say that all the time. Like, oh, I hated the Twin Towers.
When I say Return of the King is the worst, it is. I'm talking about like very marginal differences that I have sat down for hours and pondered myself how these rank up against each other.
You love Lord of the Rings,
so it's
right?
A favorite series.
So you want as much Lord of the Rings as possible?
No.
No?
I want to keep what we have sacred, and I want Amazon to fuck
that's
off.
not what I mean. Like you love the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yes.
You watch it all the time, so you love watching that trilogy.
Yes.
What's the longest movie in that trilogy?
The Return of the King.
Boom. There you go. Best movie. Has the most content.
Because I think how they solved the Battle of the Pelennor Fields was really anticlimactic with the ghosts. They just kind of like once they joined the battle, just kind of ended, which was I kind of hated seeing that.
Yeah,
the
but
pacing of that movie
the battle
was
wasn't the battle wasn't the main context. Like the context of the movie is Aragorn becoming king and then Frodo becoming Gollum.
The pacing of that movie was by far I wouldn't say the slowest. But
no. The Twin Towers is the worst pacing.
No.
Again, like that movie just makes me want to. By the way, the death of Sauron, Sauron cut. You have to watch the director's cut to get the death of Sauron.
Yeah, and I watched also the director's explanation for cutting it, and it's because I didn't want to open up the third movie with wrapping up the end of the second movie.
Which, by the way, if you watch The Hobbit, they did.
Yes, I did, and The Hobbit's not very
ridiculous.
good. But it's but I understand why it was cut. I understand why it's cut.
But I was so confused for like the first so many years of my life. I was like, whatever happened to Sauron? Yeah. And then I saw a movie. Like, I love Christopher Lee. I want as much Christopher Lee as possible.
Yes. Same.
So I have no idea. Like that like they could have just ended the movie. They could have just stuck that in the end of Twin Towers somewhere.
But also, unfortunately,
it could have fit.
With Return of the King, Peter Jackson moved away from like a lot of the practical effects that made Fellowship so good and like be able to last so long, and he just uses so much CGI through it. He uses CGI through Mordor. He uses CGI all through the Battle of the Pelennor Fields with the elephants, which look a little bit weird.
There were elephants in the movie. You want giant man? They're not elephants, by the way. There's another word for them. They're big elephants. So what? You want them to genetically produce giant elephants?
The ghosts looked
you
really
want them
bad.
to get real ghosts?
No,
dude, they're ghosts.
No, but like, there's so much CGI added in for like those background shots and all this other stuff that unfortunately a lot of the CGI isn't as good as in the earlier films because they really used a lot of it in Return of the King.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It's not like they were using tons of CGI like for crazy parts of the battle. There were literally ghosts in the battle.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, and I mean, it's sadly that the CGI didn't hold up as good, and when you got these three great movies, all which are so strong, yet CGI holding up comes down to one of the deciding factors for me.
I think the thing in that movie is that they found that they really got their footing with the main conflict of the series. Mm-hmm. Like in Fellowship, they were starting it off, which is fine, but it's a trilogy that's meant to be watched together. And in that movie, you're like, okay, Aragorn's the king, Frodo is slowly becoming Gollum, and he needs to toss the ring into Mordor or into the into the fire before that happens. You know what I mean? And like once you're watching the movie and you're like, I get the problems, I'm watching it, you're on the edge of your seat. Sam comes back, he carries Frodo up the mountain.
But also
It's
with
great.
Fellowship is it uses its time really fucking well. Every line is either expanding on the world, building a character or like a relationship, or progressing forward like a story with
You know who doesn't use their time very well?
the MCU.
The Batman.
That's kind of
Oh my
true.
god. Yeah. So in the movie,
There
so
are
here's
action scenes for the sake of action scenes.
let me continue. Let me just say the plot of the movie. The plot of
Hold
the
on,
movie
I
is
haven't even given my summary yet on the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you went off on a spiel about
Okay, we both
Batman.
did. We're both guilty of it. So, my overall take on the Batman, it was pretty solid. The characters were really good. I do not think that there was a single bad casting choice in this movie.
Yep.
All the characters did their role quite well. Not great, but I mean Penguin and Riddler killed it. Uh, and it was really nice to see almost like a superhero movie for once that didn't have world-shattering consequences once, or like this. It was a very complex story too, but it wasn't like it wasn't like some incomprehensible mess of a story, which is really nice for once. It was almost like a relief. I enjoyed the thematic take that they had on Batman of it, as you said earlier, being a very gritty Batman and like a darker, more violent Batman who's about vengeance. This is a side of Batman we haven't really seen before on screens, and I enjoyed it. But that doesn't make the movie better or worse. That's more of like a lottery win of I got to see the Batman I wanted, and as opposed to making it like a worse film because it may not have been something someone liked. I do believe that the pacing was quite poor. I was really bored watching it, though, even though with occasional scenes piquing my interest. I felt the same way when I was watching the Snyder Cut, which is a horrible movie if you're ever gonna watch that. And yeah, that about sums up my initial take on this.
All right, so just the main plot is there are some mobsters. That's Falcone and Penguin, and there's also Riddler, who's a Zodiac 7 style killer, and Batman's hunting them down with the help of
mm-hmm.
Gordon and Selina Kyle.
Yeah.
Selina Kyle, her father happens to be Falcone, and the Riddler's leaving all these riddles for them. Mm-hmm. Also, Alfred gets blown up. Now, about the cast, about the characters, I think you're right about casting. Like, as soon as I saw like Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, I was like, that's a good casting choice.
Yeah.
Paul Dano, the Riddler, that was a good casting choice. Colin Farrell plays the Penguin.
Dude, he's got some range in his acting.
Yeah, he plays generic mobster really well.
Yes.
I don't know why they would ever cast him to play the Penguin, though, because when I was watching that movie, you could have told me that the Penguin was any mobster, ever. Like, nothing really stands out as Penguinish, besides the fact that he's ugly, which they didn't have to do. Like, it's they put a fat suit and like some ugly makeup on him, like some scars. There's so much prosthetics on him, and it's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, Penguin is like a gross, down and dirty, deformed like mobster, sure, but like you can't just like slap a prosthetic nose on him and say, "Look, it's Penguin."
I think that the prosthetic nose was more to help identify him from like other characters than to actually be like, "Look, it's Penguin with a prosthetic nose."
You know what's weird is that he didn't have a monocle. Like, if you're gonna give him a crazy prosthetic nose, why not give him a monocle? Like, it's not less weird than the nose. Like, people wear you're allowed to have a monocle. It's in 2022. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's not like he's wearing a suit of armor. It's a monocle. Yeah. I that's the only casting decision I didn't like. It's really just weird to me that they would have someone like Colin Farrell.
I think he killed it. I thought he killed the role. I thought
Here's
he did really well.
here's my problem with one of my biggest problems with the movie is that every one of the actors does such an amazing job with how they were directed. The problem is how they were directed is hot garbage. Except for
What?
Andy Serkis, I think Alfred is great.
Andy Serkis as
Alfred,
Alfred, yeah, I loved
I
that.
actually like that. Yeah, was it John Turturro is Falcone? He's a great actor, and Paul Dano, the Riddler, he's amazing. Except for he's pretty much amazing. Like he does everything they need. But I had a lot of problems with a lot of the we were talking about earlier how in the Fellowship every minute of movie time is used to develop the plot or develop the characters.
Yes.
This does not happen in this movie.
No, they have action scenes for the sake of action scenes in this movie, and it wastes a lot of time.
Yeah, and the thing about this movie, like it was marketed as it's the Batman that's a thriller, and I think that's what they tried to do.
No, it was more of a detective crime drama.
Well,
noir
noir movies are thrillers. That's what they are.
Yeah.
So the thing about that is that Batman, like original Batman, is noir detective mixed with like pulp action, like Zorro.
Yes.
So it's like Zorro mixed with a detective. And I saw a review that was like, what if this movie is basically them turning down the pulp and turning up the noir.
Although, speaking of movies to watch together...
Except this movie, yeah.
The Zorro trilogy. Speaking of movies to watch together.
Oh, I love Zorro.
Dude, all three of those movies are really good.
You're talking about the almost, they're like half satire movies, sort of like...
Yeah.
They're sort of poking fun at the pulp action genre,
yeah,
but they're still movies. I love those movies.
Anyway, continuing.
Yeah. So, but they didn't. The thing about this is that it wasn't really like pulp mixed with noir. It was more like modern crime drama mixed with modern superhero movie, and then they turned down the superhero movie. So it was basically like a really depressing Fast and Furious is what it ended up with being. A really gory, like that sort of crime drama that doesn't really make any sense. Even though they had like a ton of great scenes in the movie, they never really pulled out that like great detective movie feel. And then as far as the characters go, there were a lot of like, you did get some of Alfred and you got a lot of the Riddler, but they really forced the Selina Kyle Bruce Wayne romance. Like that doesn't come off very well. They had no chemistry at all.
I thought it wasn't as much of a romance and more of like a flirtatious thing in the moment.
Yeah, but he wasn't flirting. So
I know,
that's what I thought. I thought they were going for that. Like she was sort of like attracted to that like tall, dark, and handsome thing. But there was no reason for him to kiss her back.
Okay.
Like that's what I was thinking. Like if she kissed him, I would have been like fine. But he should have pulled away. He's Batman.
Yeah.
And another thing is Batman isn't very good at being Bruce Wayne in this movie. And I'm actually fine with that because it's like year 2 of him being Batman.
Yeah. I thought it was a probably fine thing, and it shows how Batman can't be both Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Well, Batman can be both Batman and Bruce Wayne. He's awesome.
He's more of Batman than...
Well, that's the main thing in Batman is that if you are really familiar with Batman, then you know that the alter ego is Bruce Wayne. Like, Batman is who he really is. And he, like, you know, remember The Dark Knight. He was falling asleep in meetings. He's not really this rich playboy that he pretends to be. He is Batman. And he pretends to be the rich playboy.
Because we only get, what is it, 2 scenes, I think, of Bruce Wayne in public?
Yeah. And it's really not that great. But I'm really not... I don't have a problem with that. But he doesn't even try in this movie. That's the thing. When he is Bruce Wayne instead of being Batman, he just seems like a weak Batman. You know what I mean? He's still just as edgy, but he doesn't look as intimidating.
Unfortunately, I do not get that. But
what do you mean?
I do not get that take, or I do not get that take at all.
What do you mean? Well, because he's still sort of dark and brooding, you know what I mean, when he's in Bruce Wayne mode.
Mm-hmm.
But he's Robert Pattinson. I mean, he's really not that like big of a guy, and
He's edgy
and like
Batman.
he's like he looks all edgy. Well, Batman's always edgy. I don't know what you mean.
Well,
like,
he's more of a gothic Batman.
Yeah, Batman's an edgelord. Like he always has been.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's where I really think they dropped the ball. Like the director, who directed the movie, Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
He really dropped the ball on characters. Like, I can think of a couple scenes that with great character interactions. There was Falcone with Selena Kyle,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's Paul Dano with Rob Pat, like Bruce Wayne and the Riddler at the end, which was the best scene in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But really, besides that, like these characters are just sort of flat. I hated the Penguin.
So yeah, I think then we differ on there on the Penguin Penguin and then what were the other two that you just mentioned?
What do you mean?
On bad actors.
The Penguin. He's not a bad actor. I think it was poorly written, and like Colin Farrell does a great job being mobster. But my problem is this version of the Penguin doesn't. He's just sort of. He's a patsy for Falcone, and he's not really like intimidating as a mobster at all, and he doesn't really seem like Penguin other than the fact that he has a huge ridiculous nose. But you know who's a really great actor? Paul Dano as Riddler.
Yes. He
so
stole
there is this one
every scene he was in.
And there were some choices that I didn't like, but the one scene that I think is an amazing, like if there was an Oscar category for best scene, then I have never seen Hot Fudge Whiplash or I love Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz.
Dude, I love it's an amazing movie. Yeah. There's one scene at the very end, or it's not even the very end yet because they added this part at the end for no reason. But there's one scene where Paul Dano as Riddler is sitting there with Batman, Rob Pat, and he keeps saying, like very slowly, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's talking about Bruce Wayne. He's like, I was an orphan, but everyone was talking about Bruce Wayne. That poor orphan. He's saying you're not really an orphan because you're rich or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is a really bad take. like Bruce Wayne actually saw his parents get murdered in front of him.
Yeah.
like
you're not an orphan because you're rich, basically.
Yeah,
and
but
it was so dumb.
And you think that Riddler knows that Rob Pat is Bruce Wayne, but it turns out that he's just saying Bruce Wayne in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks that Batman and the Riddler are working together. Like he's deranged and he thinks that they're equals.
I think the movie was trying to show them almost as equals, like
as the same. Yeah, that's exactly what the movie is trying to show.
Yeah.
And if they did it right, it could have worked. But my problem is they used Riddler.
Like,
and there are
one thing you notice like throughout the scene are these like very, how do I describe, intentional shots where it's like when you're watching Batman spying on Selena, or when you're watching Riddler spy through the goggles on like the mayor or his targets, you're just watching these two people and they're almost doing the same thing, just with different motivations or different reasons behind it all.
Yeah, and that's just one instance where the movie is drawing these different parallels between these two characters, trying to link them. They both keep crazy notes. They're both orphans. Like they're both targeting the mob. But that's actually like a really good idea. My problem is here's another problem of mine. I have no idea why they made Riddler this ideologue. Like there are ideological driven villains in Batman. Like I think the biggest one, as soon as I was thinking about like this plot where they're taking down the mob and corrupt politicians and
Joker.
businessmen. I was thinking anarchy.
Joker.
Joker does that, but Joker isn't like an ideologue so much. Joker is just he
Um,
he does
Ra's
that
al
for
Ghul.
Batman.
Ra's al Ghul is an ideological villain.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I was thinking anarchy is the big one I was thinking of.
I'm
Like
not familiar with
anarchy.
Anarchy.
Well, he's exactly what he sounds like. He's an
Okay.
anarchist, but
Okay.
he's basically but he's more of a terrorist. So they could have done anarchy if they wanted that plot line. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
ideological driven villain gets a bunch of internet wackos to go take down politicians and mobsters.
Yeah.
And anarchy's never had a bit of screen time, and he's actually an amazing villain.
See, I think Riddler was just very unlucky that Batman was really good at solving riddles.
that's oh my god, that bug. Like I was talking to my stepfather about this because I saw the movie with him and my mom, and he was like, they never really showed Batman solving anything. He just knew the answers to riddles.
I know. It was like, it's crazy. It's like everyone interrupts, like, what's the answer to the riddle? Batman's just like,
He's like, it's a thumb drive.
yes, it's a thumb drive. It's
Okay.
a literal thumb drive.
Yes. Are you familiar? There's a YouTube channel called Overly Sarcastic Productions. Have you ever heard of it?
Maybe. Probably not.
Well, they do a great series called Trope Talks, and one of the things is a character trope called the Magnificent Bastard.
Yeah.
And that's basically like Bruce Wayne is like like Tony Stark is too. They're super geniuses, and they can all be villains a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And they're like super geniuses, and they figure it out. And the name of the trope is like they're the kind of person that you want to be like, oh, you magnificent bastard. You know what I mean? And I actually recently watched that Trope Talk, and one of the things she says is that if you're making a super smart character, you need to show them figure things out with logic. You can't just have them know things, because that bugs your audience. Like, your audience doesn't think a character's smart just because they know things. They think a character's smart because your character is smart. So Batman just knowing the answers to riddles doesn't make the audience think he's smart.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there's one big riddle in the movie that's like barely a riddle. You know what I mean? It's more like a limerick.
Yeah.
But it's like a rat with rings. You bring it out into the. You know, you get your rat with wings and you bring it out into the light, and then you'll see.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what the exact riddle was, and the answer was to the riddle was Falcone is falcon, and a falcon is a rat with wings, which doesn't make any sense.
I thought it was a bat. Was the answer to the riddle?
Well, if you remember the end of the movie, Falcone gets arrested, and there's a street lamp right outside the club, and that's where Riddler snipes him.
Yeah.
So no, the rat with wings is brought out into the light, and so the answer was a falcon. A bat does. That's what I thought, that it was a bat. But the reason that the riddle was impossible to solve is that it makes no sense.
A couple.
But they did do a really good thing with the Riddler, in they made him like the Zodiac killer.
The entire beginning of this story of the Riddler's plot made no sense.
Yeah, what do you mean?
So, is the amount of contrivance in the meeting of Selina and Batman? It's like, so Batman is trying to stop this guy, and Selina's like the most convenient meeting for him to run, or person he could run into at the club. And it's like, so he has the pictures of the mayor with a woman, and like, so he goes to the Penguins club, or he goes to Club Penguin, and you know, he's like seeing Penguin, and then Selina just walks in wearing the same shoes as the woman in the picture, and like he follows her home from that, and it's like, what it's like, if she was 2 minutes late, there would have been nothing. If she wasn't it's like, you know, women are known for their lack of variety of shoes, of course. They're very utilitarian.
Yeah. Well, she's not very rich though. She's kind of poor, so she might just.
Only have one pair of shoes that is exactly the same as like her best friend that Batman is looking for. It is so contrived. But then it's like they send her back to Club Penguin where she manages to like sneak in past a guard who recognizes her from the other night, just lets her go. And like she's using these lenses that let Batman see everything through him.
Yeah, like contact lenses.
Yeah, and not just see, it's able to get the person's name and their occupation just
well, the
by
lenses
looking
don't
at
do
them.
that. The lenses don't do that. The lenses are sent.
Well, there's a computer.
The lenses are video cameras.
Yeah, but
and they are like live streamed to a computer that Batman has, and the computer reads the faces.
it's so dumb, though. It is so dumb. And then they're lucky enough that this drugged up DA, or defense attorney, is like, he's just on drugs, and he's willing to speak. Yeah, he just speaks out about a rat because he's drugged up, and then even more conveniently.
By the way, that doesn't even make any sense. Because Falcone's not a rat.
Yeah.
Like, he's the boss.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that the whole time. Like, they were like, Falcone's the rat? And the guy's like, he actually runs the city. He works with the police. He's like, and I'm like, well, then he's not a rat.
But even worse, in response about the rat, the woman who's with the DA is like, you shouldn't be talking about this. That's what got that Russian girl in trouble. Annika, the person that she's looking for.
Well,
and
yeah.
It's like, holy fuck, the contrivance.
I don't think that's a plot hole, though, because...
It's not a plot hole. It's like, a contrivance.
If a lady in your work went missing, you talk about it all the time.
Yeah, especially at Club Penguin, which is a pretty illegal operation going on. And
well,
they don't
the Iceberg Lounge isn't illegal. It's a regular club.
Well, there's illegal activities going on through it.
Yeah, right. But like, Batman's not super worried about that.
Like, speaking of which, when Batman breaks into it with his fists, and you got guards run into this active lounge area or club, shooting at Batman, like,
yeah,
that is so stupid. Why would you fight him? Like,
and people don't clear out right away. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, like, you're
when
shooting
Batman talks
in
to Penguin, right?
Club. This is a business. You want to keep your patrons.
Yeah, literally. And like when Batman talks to Penguin right after, the club's still full.
Yeah,
nobody left.
Penguin just comes out and is like, "Hey, let's go talk." Like, yes. You wouldn't have think as a guard with, like, maybe I shouldn't fuck with this guy with body armor. Who's, speaking of which, the fact that they only ever hit his armor is kind of funny. We're talking about that later. Well, you know what's
really funny to me?
What?
I saw in the trailer, you see Batman get shot a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And he just is fine. Like, he's not even trying to dodge it.
Yeah, like...
But when I watched the movie, I saw that it's basically just like a leather costume. Like the helmet that he takes off all the time, the mask, is just made of leather.
The mask is leather. I believe he has, like, steel reinforced armor, though, on his body. But, yeah. You know, that cloak is not bulletproof.
Well,
the cloak that he used to fly, jumping off the police building after getting shot at from behind with a shotgun.
Which, by the way, can I talk about that?
Yeah.
This movie, that was when this movie fell off for me, because this movie the entire time has been like a crime drama.
Yeah.
And then he just flies off a building.
Yeah, he flies off a building in a cloak that should be shattered or tattered and torn to pieces. And then shotgun ammo.
He just smacks into like a bridge.
Yeah.
Right? And then he like, I thought this movie was going to be kind of realistic, but that should have killed him.
Yeah.
But that scene where he gets shot a bunch, like when that scene first starts, he is dodging all the gunfire. Like, it's a pitch black room and it's only being lit up by like the barrel flashes, which is really great cinematography actually.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really great scene because it goes pitch black and then it's being like really bright by the gunfire, and he's dodging every like shot because he's Batman. He's awesome. But then he walks up to these two guys, and then they just start unloading machine guns into his chest. And it's like, first of all,
What the fuck?
either why aren't you judging these ones? Why aren't you dodging these shots? Or why were you dodging the ones before?
Yeah.
Like, why were you? If your outfit is totally 100% bulletproof, and like you're not even worried about it, then why were you dodging all those like all that gunfire before?
I do want to bring up John Wick though in this. One reason why the first John Wick movie is so good is because like we get to see John Wick being smart. He's very clever. He doesn't need a vest because he doesn't make mistakes. And a big part of that movie is when John Wick messes up because he hesitates and ends up getting shot at because of that hesitation. He makes mistake.
He gets shot and pushed off a building in the third movie.
Although the third movie sucks, though. The second two completely suck because it turns into machine run and gun kind of stuff. But the first movie was really good with how it built this up. And it's like, John Wick never got shot at because he was doing his detective, or not necessarily detective, he was doing his sleuthy stuff. And he would kill you or accomplish his goal before you got the chance to shoot at him. And we don't see that in this Batman movie. We don't see any of that. It's just, I'm going to fight and beat things up while I'm getting shot at. And unfortunately, like, it doesn't make the movie worse. But it's just something that would have been really cool to see.
And here's another scene. A kind of a cool scene, like cinematography wise, but kind of it kind of changes the tone of the movie abruptly and for almost no reason. The Batmobile scene.
Oh my god.
So there is something really cool when the Batmobile revs up in the dark.
Yeah.
That's a great scene. That's a great shot.
But then the following scene.
Yeah, the car chase scene. I heard people saying, "Oh, this scene's so amazing."
It's horrible.
And I'm like, it's so out of place though.
It's so
like
bad.
you could have fit like, and there was that cool scene where he kind of, you know what really ruins it? You know who ruins that scene? Penguin. Penguin is just sitting in the car. Apparently he's a master driver. Like, if they really wanted that scene to be awesome, they should have had them drive down mostly empty roads. Because it's so frustrating to watch that driving scene. Because it's not really action packed. Because there's so many cars around, it's kind of hard to make it that action packed. Mm-hmm. But it's like, there's no reason for Penguin to be such a good driver. So they should have had that, like, oh, by the way, Batman who doesn't kill people, he killed all those people that were, like, slamming into the Batmobile. Or, like...
Yeah, like, they were dead.
Cars blew up. Yeah, those people are dead.
This Batman is not afraid to kill.
So, I will say, the most visually striking scenes in the movie are when there's pitch black mostly around, and then something that's really bright. So, yeah. Pitch black and the gunfire, the dark night and the headlights of the Batmobile, and then also when the Batmobile comes through fire, some visually striking scenes. You know what I mean? So I feel like they could have done that a couple more times. Just like if I was like a cinematographer or like a director, like I would have had. This isn't even like something wrong with the movie necessarily. There is like kind of a flat feel to a lot of the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have almost separated the Batcave would be like sort of red tinted a little bit because that's where Batman comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Joker or the Riddler's like den, his apartment, I would have put maybe like a neon green sign up because that's sort of like Riddler's thing, like neon green lights. So that way it's all dark outside when Falcone gets shot and they walk into his apartment. It's just lit up by some neon green sign.
Yeah.
And they could have done that again at the cafe. So like whenever Riddler's on screen, it's like kind of green and dim lights.
Yeah.
And then I also would have done something different for both Penguin and Catwoman. Like Penguin's Iceberg Cafe could be like cooler blues or something like that. And
Penguin.
It's the Iceberg Lounge.
Club Penguin.
All right, fine. Club Penguin could have been lit up a little differently with blues, and I was just thinking like there are more ways to make some more standout-ish scenes.
Yeah.
like just with like they clearly know what they're doing because a lot of the scenes have that awesome feel to them.
To be fair, I think this was a complaint about you just a moment ago. I really liked what they did with the Batcave. How it was like an old broken down train station, and you see like the old train in the back.
Oh, that was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I really
liked how
liked that.
although how you get to the Batcave seems a little contrived.
I do not remember how we got there.
So usually, like he goes. You ever play GTA 5?
Yes.
So you know how if you go down to the Los Angeles River, and then you can find a little opening where you can go into like the drains,
Yeah.
like the drainage system. That's basically how he got there. Like he goes into the drainage system, then goes into the train tracks,
Oh. Yeah.
and then it feels like it would take forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's another thing. Whenever the bat signal shines, he puts on his mascara and then he puts on his suit. Like I can imagine there's at least a half an hour, 45 minutes before when Gordon shines the light and Batman gets there. Probably more.
Yeah, like we see that there's a huge time delay between like even when Batman gets the call and getting to Bruce Tower to try or Wayne Tower to try to save Alfred. Because he's
I
late.
actually, you know what's crazy? I was thinking this movie would have been really interesting if they killed Alfred.
If they full on did. I was hoping that they would.
Isn't that like because I loved what's it? God, I keep forgetting his name. Andy Serkis as Alfred. Like he was a great actor, and Batman literally is like, "You're not my dad." I kind of wish they would have killed him.
I think that whole "You're not my dad" exchange was really good. That was a really good character moment right there between the two of them, where he just says, "I know," almost like Alfred has been putting up with this for some time. Like the way he just replies. Ooh, it was really good.
Yeah. God. What else? I know I have a lot of complaints about this movie, but honestly,
there was a lot of good stuff in it.
I wouldn't choose to watch it again.
I wouldn't either.
But maybe if this is gonna become another trilogy, and they take all the good elements, they take that gritty noir feel, they take
I hope
and they take some of those really interesting cinematography, you know.
Yeah.
And
just
they really expand on more of the character relationships, you know, the interconnected character stuff.
Yep.
If they do all that, the next movie could be a legitimately good movie, like a legitimately good, entertaining movie.
I think this is a good movie already.
I disagree.
I don't think it's great by any means, but I think it's good. I would give it...
My problem is if you have a lot of great elements, but you fail to like if you have here's what it is. If you have great fabric, if you have silk, but your sewing is shit, then you have a shit. The shirt you just sewed was shit. It doesn't matter how fine the silk is. If your sewing sucks, the shirt sucks. You know what I mean? And a cotton shirt that's put together really well is better than your silk like garbage nonsense. And that's what I think this movie was. So many great elements in this movie. They just failed to really have. It didn't flow well. It didn't. There wasn't really like a captivating mystery. Also, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
The Riddler mask, unnecessary. He could have just filmed him, like just not filmed his face. You know what I mean? When he was filming.
Yeah.
It just seems so unnecessary.
I thought it was that they had a mask to try to draw more of the parallel between Batman and Riddler, or draw like the Batman.
That's the only reason he had a mask. You're totally right. And they did kind of bite the hint. And by the way, Riddler won.
Yes.
At the end of the movie, they acted like Riddler was losing, just because he was like upset that Batman didn't love him or something.
Yeah.
But
he won.
But the end of that movie, yeah, like, oh, by the way, the very end of that movie with all the Riddler goons, that was horrible.
Okay.
Like, it was shoved in there at the end. it felt like it already ended. It was kind of unnecessary. I don't know.
Yeah,
And
it probably
and
was.
I
It was a.
and by the way, they started off this film trilogy or this Batman franchise, this new one. They started off with destroying Gotham,
They didn't
which depending,
destroy Gotham. They just
well, they
flooded a
flooded it.
part of the city. Yeah, there
Oh,
was a
which is
part of
also
it.
kind of this is also kind of silly because their emergency evacuation center was an underground stadium for a flood. There are literally high rises all around.
Yep.
If you were in New York and it just started flooding, you would just go into the nearest building. Like you would be able to get above sea level.
The problem is electric fires, though, that would start breaking out.
Yeah,
That's the main concern.
Yeah, but it it really wouldn't be that much of a like electric fires.
Yeah,
Just because this.
those are really fucking dangerous.
Yeah, but no, but there would still be electrical fires in the stadium. Like the electrical fire chance that there's an electric fire when the city's flooded is lesser than dying in a flood if you go to an underground stadium.
Yeah, that is fair. But yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of great.
I don't have too much more to talk about.
No, absolutely not. What do you like? But out of 10, what do you say this movie is?
I would give it like a 5 to a 6.
I would give it a 5 to a 6. Yeah, 5.5. I would say.
Yeah, like about a 5.5.
Which is crazy because, we've learned this between the way you and me rate things. That I always say that things can get worse than they can get better. Like, I would say the normal range a normal thing could be is like a 4 to an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are like if you're eating something, if you eat the best thing in the world, the most delicious thing in the world, that's like
a 9.
Well, let's say that's like a +10. If you eat a bag of the most disgusting human feces in the world, that's like a -100.
Oh,
so
for me
things
that
like
would be 0.
Yeah, I know, but my point is, if when we rate things on a scale from 1 to 10,
yeah,
my philosophy is, it doesn't get as good as it does get bad. So I rate things up a little bit. So my 5.5 is like yours, like 4 or 3.
So I rate things with absolute values being pretty much impossible to achieve. So like a 0,
like
a 0 is never going to be would be the absolute worst film that couldn't get worse in any way.
Yeah.
And a perfect 10 would just be could not be improved in any way.
Yeah, and I agree. Like those are impossible.
Yeah. Cuz
But
and a 5 is going to be a really solid movie.
Yeah, to me a 5 is kind of a not great movie.
Yeah, it's like it's a movie. It's a movie.
A movie to me would be like a 6. Like I saw Jungle Cruise. Like that's a 6. It's a rock movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a movie. And then a movie that I like and that has some good elements in it, it's like a 7. Yeah. So like a 7 to me would be like, I would rate. Oh God, let me think.
Unfortunately, for me, like, if your characters and writing though are falling apart, like if you have bad characters or bad writing, and you cannot ever get above a 5, probably, because those are the 2 main foundations of any story.
Absolutely, and that's why I didn't like the Batman, because I didn't connect with any of the characters.
The characters I thought were still really good, even though I didn't connect with them. Like, there wasn't anything wrong with them, and although there were some contrivances in the plot,
because there wasn't anything right with them is my problem.
Okay, I could see
They're
that.
really flat characters, and you're right. There's nothing really anything wrong with them. There's nothing right with them either.
Yeah, there wasn't apart from maybe this Batman who was changed as a Batman and and not Joker, fuck, Riddler. Their characters were really good. Other than that, like even Selena, like I would say even she was really well cast and she did a good job, but unfortunately, the direction of her character could have been better.
Oh, I do have one more thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Costumes. Something I actually really liked in this movie.
Yes.
There's something that bothers me in the Marvel movies, and it's that everyone's costume kind of looks the same, like material wise.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that like Captain America and like they're all made by Stark,
Yeah.
so that's why they look the same. But there's also some characters that their costumes aren't made from Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Like Thor's costume is like some like magic god stuff. It's not Stark.
Yeah.
But it looks like the same. It has the same vibe as Captain America's does.
They,
Like,
they all fit together.
yeah. But in this movie, and like all the villains have the same thing going on too. So like like Thanos had that suit that looked suspiciously like the suits that everyone wore when they went back in time, the
Mm-hmm.
white ones. And it's like, wow, it looks like it's made of the same material. Odd how Thanos got that.
I mean, the MCU has a lot more problems than just
Well, I'm
the
not saying that
suits.
that's their only costume. I'm saying that that's something that bothers me when I watch
Well,
it.
their costume
But
design. There's a lot bigger problems going on with the MCU right now
I
than
don't
just
I don't mind
costume
their
design.
costume design. Like the ideas are always good, but they always look like they're made out of the
Yeah,
same
it
manufacturer.
could have been better. I think
So,
most
but
things
in
Disney.
this movie, I what I really appreciate is I always thought it was weird how Batman villains all have uniforms. Like the Riddler
Mm-hmm.
has these suits, but in this movie, the Riddler was just wearing like a jacket and a hoodie,
Yeah.
and he had a weird mask on that I didn't like, but
Yeah.
he had a jacket and a hoodie, and Penguin, he was just wearing a suit. He had a bow tie, he had a purple jacket, but it was just a suit. And
Yeah.
Catwoman is what I really appreciated
Ski mask.
because she was wearing like kind of it was like a leather jumpsuit almost. So
Mm-hmm.
like, that was very Catwoman. But it was a ski mask, and the ears are just like the corners of the ski mask folded up.
Yeah.
And
Like
I
I
was like,
thought it was
wow,
really
like
cool.
that's what Catwoman's costume would be.
Yeah, in
Like
her scenario.
yeah, right. It's just a ski mask.
Yeah.
But Batman has the dope leather costume. Like all that, I watched that and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like amazed with those costumes, and that's what I'll end on.
Yeah.
The costumes really great. So overall, I give it a 5.5. You also give it a 5.5, but that's kind of different for us.
I think
Um,
it's similar. I think we have a very like this movie wasn't the greatest thing ever. But it's really good for a superhero movie.
yeah.
And I'm not saying that as in hate for superhero movies. I
Do you
mean
have any
like
hopes for if they
Civil
make another
War.
one? What would you
Civil.
want to see in it?
I would want to see more of probably an expansion, them expanding more on Gotham as a city. I would want to
I
see
want
more
to.
of that, more world building. Maybe some explore new aspects with Alfred and Batman's relationship.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe into more into like the view of those people of like more into like the aspect of like the eyes of the villains of the city. Kind of like not necessarily like I don't want to see more maybe Joker or more Bane or more of these characters, but I want to see more of that side of the city that created Riddler or that created Catwoman as we see them. If that makes sense.
That I like that.
Yeah.
Um, I also want to see like more on the relationships. The next villains, I heard that that Firefly was gonna appear in one of these movies, which I'm really
Oh.
excited for.
Yeah.
He hasn't made a live action appearance.
Yeah.
Um,
Ever.
so I would love that, and maybe that's how they burn Two Face's
Fucking
face off is with Firefly. He's hired by the mob or something.
Dude, fucking Firefly. Last time I saw Firefly was in like, I was like 7 years old with the animated Batman series.
Yeah, Firefly's dope, and he was kind of goofy in the Arkham Knight series. He was really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like a hired arsonist, he was like a madman who just wanted to burn down fire stations because he was like offended by them or something. But yeah, Firefly, that'll be awesome to see, and I hope we get to see more of Detective Batman. Like he's solving like.
Yeah, I want to see more detective work.
Yeah, like maybe like Firefly burns down a building, and Batman like takes an air sample or something, and he runs it through a machine. He's like, this burning, like something that lit up this fast had to have a special chemical used to burn.
Yeah.
And he finds like, well, who could manufacture this? They'd have to manufacture it at home, and he does like actual detective work.
Yeah.
I would love to see that, for him to find Firefly like that. And even if Firefly's in it, we'll get more of those visually striking, like hot fire against the Dark Knight scenes.
Hopefully, we also get more smart mobsters,
like
the dumbasses who just, or the smart thug, or the dumb thugs that just ran at him in the bar. This kind of is like a throwback to the animated series of like the smartest thug ever, the one that was patrolling the house, and he opens up a door to see Batman, and he just is like, oh, and then he shuts the door and walks away.
Yeah, John Turturro was great. I hope we get maybe like the Black Mask as a mobster in the next movie.
Yeah,
he's like, obviously now that Falcone is dead, there's like a, what do you call it?
Let's see if I can find that.
What do you call it? Like when like a power vacuum. So there's gonna be a power vacuum in the next movie. Let's get a lot of that. I didn't love this movie, but honestly, if we do more of the good elements in this movie, it could be a great trilogy.
Okay, so I'm streaming
and that's what I'm hoping for.
It's a video called "The Smartest Batman Goon Ever."
Okay, and let's watch this, and then we'll
it's only like 17 seconds long, but I fucking love it.
Okay.
Somebody in here? Something wrong? Nope.
I don't know if the stream is caught up.
This is Batman.
Oh.
Yeah, that's funny. I like that.
He actually has this idea of self-preservation.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't like this movie. You liked it, okay? Has potential for the next one. That's all I'll say. That's how we'll end it.
Okay, and on that note, we'll see you all next time.
Actually, I have a joke. Are you still going?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? I have one joke.
Okay.
Why did the child cross the road?
To get hit by a car.
Say what? Why did the child cross the road?
Why?
Because he wasn't wearing his seatbelt.
God.